Flat cap pastor dashing through pages. Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages. Leviticus, laws to Paul's find phrases. Turning them corners, your spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalms singing sweet, unbroken lines. Hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the never blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embraced in the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick.
faster, dashing through pages. Chronicles, Gospels.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Sorry on the delay there. I was over waiting to raid out with ukulele over to Aki and Fam. And so, hence, I was a little delayed. Let me see if I can get back over there. I had to listen to see if my sound is okay. There we go. That way I can raid over. So, welcome in. Good to see you, Andy. Andy is here. I was a little late, so hopefully others that normally are here bright and early, dropping the lurks, will show up and be a part of it. So, okay, it is fun hanging out with other people that are celebrating, I think, much more, than celebrating myself. So, hey, look at Wywis is looking good. And if you notice, I did get some new emotes done yesterday. Was working on those. I had some really good emotes that would look good at this size. Okay? But when it comes to the chat size, they were too small. They were too small, and they did not work. And I was disappointed by that. But I got some new ones anyway, and those are hopefully going to be used. Some of them I got to figure out. And then Streamiversary, we're going to be doing this. This, I think it was in a different format when I was a kid. It was a smaller book, a little bit thicker, but this is the book that my mom threw in the trash because she got annoyed that I kept telling these stupid riddles. So it's got some art in there too. So anyway, that's gonna be fun. Okay, well, the raid happened. I just want to wave, say hi, and then I will. Already got it. I'm already up and lurking. So okay, get this out of my ear. Andy, I'm glad I've been awake to come and find fellowship. Just wish the day didn't start with anxiety. I don't know the answer to that, but I have been watching some videos lately talking about what we eat, and one of them was talking about our food, the diet that we have can lead to us having anxiety. I do not know the scientific data on that yet, but I am intending to explore that more. I've gone in trends. 4 or 5 years ago, I was watching a lot of YouTube people talking about food and diet and health and fasting and those things. And then for the last 3 years, I've been on a lot of podcast binging, more Bible things, and I've started again to get into watching health-related videos and shorts and reels. So, anyway, I do think I want to take a peek at fish a minute here, because they're looking pretty good. Oh, and Wywis is going to make a showing there as I go over. Wywis coming through the cam, but I just wanted to look at the bottom right. Look at these gorgeous looking fish there. Yeah, predisposed to high anxiety. Yeah, you're an anxious person. Yeah, I understand. I know those. I'm just curious always as to if there are ways to help lower it naturally. If it is a mental health condition, what are ways to help with it? Wow, they're all looking good today. I'm loving that view. That one there, the yellow and black, I super love that coloring. That looks gorgeous to me. And then some of these, like right there, you can see that one in cam is scaleless. We've got several scaleless. That white one there is also scaleless. And let's see, is he going to come back? I got a couple of them that call them shark fin because their dorsal fin isn't a full fin. It just looks like a shark fin. Oh, there's one without a fin. And I'm assuming that some of those are birth defects that happened. But not major birth defects, so the fish are okay. You see the little guy on the bottom in there, though. He's not thriving, to say the least. He would probably be eaten already in the wild. All right. Oh, you're gonna give us a show there? I'm gonna wait a minute. I was gonna click off, but he comes in, gives us a show. Okay. Lucis, welcome in. I was just showing off fish because it was a beautiful view. It was a beautiful view. Oh, bum ba bum bum bum. I gotta remember to switch that. Let's switch to dark mode. Come on. Oh, by the way, my wife went to start her work computer this morning. Nothing. Nothing. No lights. Nothing. Try to figure out, oh, was it the not getting power? Moved it over to another cord that powers her other computer. She's got two different work computers for two different, one for a hospital, one for the company she works for. And sounded like it was making some noise, but it did. That's it. Didn't turn anything on. Didn't do anything. Like the fan might have, kicked in or something. Was it? So I don't know what she's doing. There's no battery to remove on the laptop that she has. It's super thin HP, and I do not know what that's gonna mean for her today. If she's gonna be able to work or not work, or have to go in and get a new laptop. I have no clue what that means, because without it, she can't work. So, all right. So, Torah a Tuesday. Torah a Tuesday. Oh, I didn't mark down. We did Mat 5 yesterday. I'm getting neglectful in that. I don't know why. I sometimes forget to mark it off. There we go. And I don't know how readable that is. If it's readable or not at that size. Probably not. I mean, on your computer, I bet it is. On your phone, certainly not. So, what you gonna do to try to advertise you got something going on? So Genesis 4. Genesis 4. Come on, scroll. Why will you not scroll back to Genesis 4? I mean, you were just in 6. Okay. This is I think this is let me look at this. In the Greek, or in the Hebrew, I'm in it. Because if I remember right, this is not the... What is that? Oh, duh. I went to 5, not 4. That's why. Okay, I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong place. I was thinking of Genesis 5, how it starts, instead of 4. All right. Sorry, I got a alert. What was the alert for? I always hate alerts. Like, is that a direct message? Is that an important thing? Is that an unimportant thing? Looks like nothing on that level, which means it might be over here. Which that always takes a while. Okay, looks like, I don't know what the alert was for then. Okay. So, picking up where we were, there is creation that takes place. And following creation, there is the fall. Now, I love the vagueness of it, but our modern Western minds usually want definitive answers to all of the questions. And honestly, I don't think the Bible most of the time is trying to answer all the questions. It's usually trying to answer things around who created God. Why did God create? This is why. And that's it. And then it ends. Like, it is taking chaos and turning chaos into order. And that's what God is doing. And then God is doing things to create in his likeness, in his image, and to create beings that are not just animals. So it's not answering all the questions. And then when we get into the fall and we get into the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and like we were talking about, like, is it one tree? Is it two trees? There are different views and opinions. Is there one creation or two creations? We've got Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. They seem to tell a different story. Is there one generic creation of all and then a specific creation within the garden that is separate? Some understand it that way. Some take it differently. So I don't think it's answering a science question. The other thing, even if it was answering scientifically anything, it's not duplicatable, it's not provable. So as we get into these stories, they are theological in nature, they could be historical in nature, but they are not intended to be scientific in nature. The idea and concept of studying science is after these were all written down. So it's not going to be answering those questions. So just those who go in that direction, like even in this regard of having children and those things, it gets interesting. Okay. Now the man was intimate with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant. Now I love the phrasing here. He knew Eve, his wife. Okay. We probably don't need to look at this. Those that are new probably have not heard me mention or talk about yada here.
Strong's H 3045. Yada.
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 Still going to say yada. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. This is to know, to learn to know, to perceive. So this is experiential learning. This is not strictly intellectual knowing. Look here in these forms, to cause to know. By doing this thing, the resulting is information that is gained from experience. Okay? And this is, oh, that's interesting. Why is it going here with 3:5? Yeah, knowing in the day that you eat, your eyes will be open. Hadavar. What are we reading today? We are reading Genesis. You know what? Let me try to see. Okay, so I did have, let me go look and see if I can fix this. Good question. It is not there. What happened to it? Oops. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever, yeah, a week ago, it was having problems with OBS, and it's not showing. Where is it at? Huh. Okay. Just Something happened. So I was putting it up here. Trying to figure out how to get it to show up. It's showing that I have it there, but it will not show up. Like, it's not even letting me click on it. It's interesting because usually it does. So it did. So gonna have to fix that. So anyway, we are reading in Genesis today. So, okay. So the man was intimate with his wife. While accurate, it does not, to me, convey the fullness of the idea, nor does it let us see and appreciate and understand yada. So I know it sounds funny in English. The man knew his wife. Hello, let me introduce myself. Hi, we've shaken hands, and I know who you are. Boom, you're pregnant. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, we use it as a euphemism. However, if we look at the Hebrew, it is more than a euphemism. It is experience. That's how you know something is through experience. You gain knowledge through experience. So, yes, it's accurate to say the man was intimate with his wife, Eve, and she became pregnant. But I think it's better to use the knowledge because it then helps us set up that every other time when we're talking about knowledge, it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Well, it's intellectual. No, it's experiential. So anyway, my bias, and I'm not afraid to tell you my bias, but it is my bias nonetheless. She gave birth to Cain. Okay, we got names. Okay. Adam. Okay, so this is the Adam. Oh, that's and. Sorry. Eve. Hua. She bare Cain. It said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Which is also debatable what that really means. Hava.
Strong's H2332.
Hava.
Cheva.
Life or living. And Cain.
Strong's H7014. Cain.
Okay. So as a proper masculine noun, possession. Hey, Johnny Darko. Lurk while cooking some breakfast for your wonderful wife. Cat Jam Supersonic is in the house. And by the way, if you have not seen, there are some new emotes. Might need a little work, but there's at least some new emotes. Okay. So, and she gave birth to Cain, possession. Then she said, I have created a man as the Lord did. Okay. Here's another sound play. Paranormo Asi, on the name. The sound of the verb I have created reflects the sound of the name Cain and gives meaning to it. The saying uses the call perfect. There are two homonymic verbs with that spelling. One to obtain, the other is acquire, and the other is to create. The latter fits the context. Eve has created, just as the Lord did. So, there we go, Johnny. Thank you for the lurk. Lurk. Ooh, they overlap when they're in line there. Did not know that would happen. Cool. So if we go back to the curse, is Eve feeling like that the curse has now lent itself to restoration in some way? Okay, there's a whole bunch that might be going on there, but the story just keeps moving forward. It only dwells on it for a moment, that I have done just as God has done and created a man, and from her seed is where the curse is going to be redeemed. We're going to be removed. So is she thinking in this moment that it is fully taken care of? Then she gave birth to his brother Abel. Okay. The name Abel is not defined here in the text, but the tones is ominous. Abel's name, the Hebrew word hevel, breath, vapor, vanity, foreshadowing Abel's ultimate timely and premature death. So, Abel, is a play on his name as well. But here's the thing, I just learned this. Then she gave birth to Abel. Okay, I've always read this as older brother, younger brother, sometime in between. But as Altus Rebbe shared in the Discord, there is a reading rendering of this that would mean that they are twins. There's a reading that you can see in here that then she gave birth to is the second child comes out. So greatly multiplying your pains in labor is going from one child to two child while you're pregnant. So that is greatly multiplying your pain in childbirth by going from one children to two children at a time. So there's a couple of things that could be going on here. And Hebrew likes to be vague that way. Temple Wall didn't realize that was his name in Hebrew. It's the same word that Ecclesiastes is about. Let me go look that up for sure. One of the things is you have the three root letters, and that's how you get some of these connections going on. Let me go double check that. Yeah, see, the difference is this again, or should be translated as then again a second time she gave birth to his brother, or is this as a single birth taking place? Havel?
Strong's H, 1893. Hevel.
Okay, so it is the same as... Yeah, so this is the noun form, and this would be the verb form, breath, wind, vapor. So you're just changing breath marks and vowel points. So like the difference between saying potato and potato, and having potato mean something completely different than potato means, or tomato and tomato. So you would use the pronunciation to distinguish between the verb and the noun, would be what Hebrew does at times. So, okay. Yeah, that's... So vapor, wind, breath is what his name means. And Cain means possesses. So she now possesses a man. I think that's what it literally says. Let's go back and look at that. Oh, sorry. I have gotten. Yes. Gotten. Vanities of vanities. Able of ableness. Kana.
Strong's H, 7069. Kana.
Yeah.
Kana.
Yeah. Possess. to acquire, to obtain. Okay. Now, it's interesting. So you have you go forward with one, you continue with the second one, and then you'll return to the first one in literary form here. Abel took care of the flocks, but Cain cultivated the ground. The designation of the two occupations are expressed with active participles. Abel is occupied with sheep, whereas Cain is living under the curse, cultivating the ground. Ooh, interesting. So you have a Cain living under the curse. Abel not necessarily living under the curse from the same standpoint as fighting against it with the sweat of his brow, bringing forth food, but Abel overseeing sheep and taking whatever God is still providing. That's an interesting thought. At the designated time, Cain brought some of the fruit of the ground for an offering to the Lord, but Abel brought some of the firstborn of his flock, even the fattest of them. And the Lord was pleased with Abel and his offering, but with Cain and his offering he was not pleased. So Cain became very angry, and his expression was downcast. Okay, we'll start with, and it was hot with Cain, a Hebrew idiom for anger. Like, he was hot under the collar. Yeah, that would be a good translation. And Cain became hot under the collar. And his face fell is an idiom for inner anger in reflection of Cain's facial expression. Well, downcast can be more than anger, depression, dejection, different things like that. And she bore still another son and named him Salah, and it was Chibiz that she bore him. I haven't looked at that one, Temple. And if you go look in the Discord, it was Altus Rebbe who had pointed that out. So it has to do with the curse has just been given of doubling your pain in childbirth, and then is this a single birth that goes together with those? My Hebrew's not good enough to fully get that out, but it's a matter of the timing of it. And we can go look at that a second. Let's go look at 38 a minute. Or I should say, let me go look at here again. And she again bore Yasaf Yalad. Yasaf Yalad. To add, to increase, to add, to join. Ooh, okay. That's quite interesting. And you said 38:5. Joseph had a dream, and he told his brother, and they hated him all the more. Oh, that's not the one. 38:5. And yet again, she conceived and bore a son. Okay, so here we have conceiving again. In the first one here, we just have and again. So let me go look at what it actually is in the. Maybe they're adding the conception in there. Sorry, wrong one. Hubba Bob! Good morning, friends. Yasaf Ad conceived, Yasaf. Okay, so here you have a double connection of it. So you have added, yet again added, and bore. So here you have the word doubled upon itself, with both pointing to yet again. So Yasaf, Ad, Yasaf. So I think that's why here it's going with conceived. So it would be different. It would be different in the second use there. It is the same verb of adding to, but there is nothing in between. You're finally back home? All right, awesome. Didn't Abraham's wife bear a child in her, I think it's 90s. I believe it's 90s when Sarah has a child. It's 70 when God calls Abraham, but there is quite a number of time before. I think she's 90 when it finally happens, if I remember right. Someone else can correct me on that. So, Temple, I think it's a slightly different construct here with the Yasaf, Ad, Yasaf, instead of Yasaf, Yalad. So, but again, saying it's possibly twins is taking into account the idea that childbirth was going to be greatly multiplied in pain. And that is how the Jewish understanding is potentially that what that meant was twins. If you have one kid, that's pain. If you have two kids, that's double the pain. So that's greatly multiplying. Was in Vegas working for the office all last week, so not able to watch the stream. Yeah, that would be super early in Vegas, although I do have some Mountain Time people that are often in here, and I've got some people down under that, you know, it's 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning, and they're watching, so. Okay, okay, so we have the actions of Cain and Abel, and there's great questions here. How do they know to bring offerings to God? And how do they know the designated time? And it happened at the end of days. This clause indicates the passing of a set period of time leading up to offering sacrifices. Is it that specific? At the end of days? I guess so. I guess so. At the designated time. I guess that could make some sense. Mikah offering is a general word for tribute, gift, and offering, in the main word used in Leviticus 2 for the dedication offering. The type of offering would be comprised of vegetables. The content of the offering, vegetables as opposed to animals, was not the critical issue, rather the attitude of the offerer. Yes. Temple. The curse in Genesis 3 seems to be universally applied to women, though. Is she the only one whose husband is going to have a husband who will have authority over her? No, no. But even if it's generally applied to all women, I think their thinking is prior to the curse, only single births were possible. Because of the curse, multiple births are possible. There's also the thought that, and like here's the thing, we don't know. So this is all speculation, and so if you don't see it, you don't agree with it. I don't know what really what was the natural created order for births in creation. Was it single birth? That's one speculation. So it's only the capacity to have multiple births happens with the curse because you're multiplying pain. Another explanation for that, one that I've heard more often, is possibly like animals who only give birth once a year, most of them, not all of them, some do more often, but only are able to have conception once a year in the mating season, that perhaps humans were originally intended to only have one birth and one possibility of birth. So if Mountain Time here, Mel, yes. So so it's switching, multiplying it, greatly multiply would go from possibility of getting pregnant once a year to possibility of getting pregnant every month. That's another way to look at it, but we don't know. We don't know. We're all speculating on what actually got multiplied. I don't know. Why does this seem more likely than just concluding that before sin the birthing process was not so painful? Well, it's trying to understand and trying to figure out what is the part that's multiplied. So, yeah, and certainly just saying, nope, it was always monthly possibility and twins were always possible, and now it's just more painful. Sure. There's also the part that can be understood too. I don't know if I focused on that. The possibility of conception is also going to become more difficult. So the difficulties throughout pregnancy are seen all over the place with throughout the Old Testament, barrenness being a thing that is constantly going on, and that usually does cause strife in relationships when that is a problem that's going on. So it's not necessarily that people are saying that's not just the easy way to read it. It's trying to fully explore what it might mean. And I know some people don't like that exploration. And frankly, at the end of the day, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. But I like knowing what people have come up with as explanations. The same way that maybe some of these are true. The same way, how do we know what in Enoch ended up being true and not true? I don't know. But I'm only sharing information that I have learned from scholars and others who are Jewish or have studied what Jewish thoughts have been on this. The conclusion seems more fitting since practically every woman who gives birth has the experienced tremendous amount of pain, while few women ever experience birthing twins. That seems fair. That seems fair, yeah. Jumping to the conclusion of twins. Like I said, that's a new one for me. I hadn't heard that one before. Yeah, is there the controversial thing? I believed in God and aliens. Well, it depends on what circle you run in. Some circles, that's not controversial. Some, however, don't find a spot for aliens in the Bible. Therefore, since the Bible doesn't mention them, it can't exist because it doesn't have a place in the creation order for aliens. So, but the Bible is, again, not a science textbook and not trying to answer all our questions. So when we're trying to figure out greatly multiplying pain, what if it's emotional pain too and not physical pain? So, yeah, we could just go around and around on that. Okay. Now, here's one of those questions that seems to always get asked. Oh. Okay. My wife did get her computer working. So I tried and I was unsuccessful. Yeah, Jesus wasn't from Earth. So, well, yes and no. Yes and no. He was born on Earth, but he was from above. So, yeah, there's that. Okay. How do they know the designated time? How do they know when they're supposed to do these things? That's not the important question. That's not the important question. The question is not how do they know? Because both brothers know. Both brothers know and both brothers act. What I've often heard, so Cain takes from the fruit of the ground for the offering. And Abel takes from the field and takes a lamb. And I heard this taught that the reason that Cain's was not accepted was because it was food offering and it wasn't blood offering, and only blood offerings can be given. And all that is you don't know Leviticus, friends. You don't know Leviticus, because Leviticus is filled with first fruits offerings. First fruit of the field. Oh, you mean giving of the grain? Yes. And then there are the unleavened bread offerings, the thin cakes, the thick cakes. There's the flour offerings. There are constant offerings from the ground. So that argument, if you ever hear it, is not what's going on here, because notice what it also says. God was pleased with Abel and his offering, but with Cain and his offering he was not pleased. It is both the giver and the offering. So it may more be it's the pleasing and being pleased with the giver than with the gift. So the letter of the Hebrew explains the difference between the brothers as one of faith. Abel, by faith, offered a better sacrifice. Cain offering, as well as his reaction to God's displeasure, did not reflect faith. Okay. That's in the letter of Hebrews. So if we jump to Hebrews, it's explaining what happened here. Andy, thankful for waking up today and breathing in my lungs. Challenged with anxiety. Yeah, and you know, I looked out this side this morning, and there's snow outside. And I am very grateful and very thankful that I am inside and warm, because it's very cold out. Very cold. So, yes, waking up and appreciating and valuing life and movement and being and all those things is a wonderful, wonderful thing to start the day with. And hopefully it can help us overcome any anxiety for the day that we might face. Temple, I'm checking out the Hebrew again. It's not obvious that it has either the pain in both or multiple births. I think it's clear that a multiplication of pain is included, but it does seem to also possibly be applied of multiple births. Yeah, it's one of those things where Hebrew does some different things with words, like the word repeating itself twice, which just doesn't have a connotation of how do you translate that in English. But there is a multiplication of things when you have two words together. Now, the one occurrence had another word in between, and those two words are pointing to the one in between. But the best explanation that I've heard of when you put two words together in Hebrew, and it's a multiplication of those two words. So let's just take holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. So holy means set apart. So God is set apart times set apart times set apart. So that would be set apart cubed. Set apart cubed. I'm just using math terms here. But unlike English, which does not do this, kids want to do this naturally. When it is very cold outside, I want you to know how cold it is. It is very, very, very cold outside, and in English we're taught, you just said the same thing and you didn't make any difference. You just added words and you said nothing of value. It's very, and do not add more. Hebrew doesn't care about that rule. It's like, yes, it does. I multiplied it by adding another one. Not only is it cold, it is very cold. And not only is it very cold, it is very, very cold. So that's my best understanding of when you double a word up. It is the multiplication of it. But what does the multiplication point to is where we get in those debates. Yeah, multiplication of pregnancy. Yep. But and that's where, yes, it's very, very, very cold outside. Okay. Okay, so here the offering and the giver are the thing God is pleased with or the thing God is displeased with. And it is not about it being a blood sacrifice versus a giving of the ground, because if we go to Leviticus, there are many, that's a nice cold emote, many offerings that are of the ground. And there's also wine offering too, which would be of the ground. So we don't know what the offering specifically was. The only thing we know in regards to Abel's, it is the firstborn of the flock. So then people have speculated about, well, when was the firstborn of the flock given? How soon was it? Was it at the end of the weaning period? So, for instance, if you're going with the temple sacrifices, those sheep are born in the fall and they are sacrificed in the spring. So that would mean that Cain, and this is not what I believe, but this is what I've heard, Cain held on to the vegetables from fall harvest season, and after he survived the harsh winter, he gave the leftovers that made it through. But if you are looking in not all sheep are birthed in the same period of time. Some are born at different times. Also, if you're going to Jerusalem and you're in that area, first fruits is in the late spring. So it's like, we don't know what time this was. It's at the designated time, and it's not the offering as much as the giver, I think, that is the problem here. Temple, but I kind of have to wonder what that means. Possible means multiple kids in a single pregnancy, but another crazy thing to think about is perhaps at the garden in perfection, when no one died, each couple would only ever have a single child. Ooh, yes, that's also a possibility. But after they are cast out, now they have to have multiple children and perpetuate the race. If we go back to creation, I love this conversation, Temple, by the way, and that thinking through. The command is given to be fruitful and multiply. Does having one birth fulfill the original being fruitful? And from the standpoint of your role is to produce fruit, then you produced fruit. That could be. But if you had a tree that only produced one fruit ever, that would be a tree you would probably cut down because it would cease to produce fruit. However, if you go with, like I'm just going to go plant corn and it grows, that corn only produces once. And then the corn doesn't produce again. So yeah, hard to say. Gotta wonder how a second generation comes about also if that's the case. True. Third generation, yes. So the command to multiply is given to each group. So the animals are called to multiply. It's not on a single pair to do the multiplication. So then is it on a single pair of humans to do the multiplication? So yes, greatly multiply. I don't think I've heard that one of, what if we were only to ever have a single child and care for that single child? That's an interesting thought. One child policy. Huh. Okay. Cain said to his brother Abel, oh, sorry, wait. I missed a section there. Sorry, I scrolled too much. So Cain is downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, so after Adam and Eve sin, God comes to Adam and Eve and asks questions. Now, when Cain has made an offering and he's downcast, God comes to Cain. Why are you angry, and why is your expression downcast? So we just got told that is the condition that Cain is in. God comes and he identifies exactly the condition Cain is in. Is it not true that if you do what is right, you will be fine? So, but if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at the door and its desire to dominate you, but you must subdue it. By the way the Hebrew construction works is a doubling of verbs, and one of them is an infinitive. It's a fairly common thing in Hebrew. Oh, okay. Yeah, the doubling of verbs. Well, the holy, is holy a verb there? I've always thought of that as an adjective. Okay, I was just clarifying. So maybe it works differently in verbs from other words, other parts of speech. It's language is so complicated. The other thing too is when you use language verbally and you use language written, we can use it differently. We can use it differently because we can put inflection. We can put inflection in our voice that we can't put on paper. So, yeah, the verse is like, I'm going to multiply your pain. Yes. Yeah, that doesn't work well in English, but that's common doubling up of things in Hebrew. Okay. So here's one of those weird things. If God comes to you and tells you exactly what's going on, and then says if you do what's right, you'll be fine. So apparently it seems like what Cain did was not right. Something he did was not right. The introduction, conditional clause, and the interrogative participle, the answer from Cain, as if he should have known this. It is not a condemnation, but an encouragement to do what is right. Exactly. The Hebrew text is difficult because only one word occurs, se'et, which appears to be in the infinitive construct for the verb to lift up, na'as. The sentence reads, if you do well, uplifting. There's some poor English. On the surface, it seems to be the opposite of a fallen face. Yes. If you do well, uplifting will you be. Like, put a little Yoda in there. Everything will be changed if he does well. God will show him favor. He will not be angry, and his face will reflect it. But more may be intended since the second half of the verse forms a contrast. If you do not do well, sin is crouching. So, if well you do, uplifting face shall be. If you do not, if well you do not, sin crouching it is. I don't know. Can't quite fit it. It works a little in English. It's cold outside. Oh, yeah, you can do that if you deny spelling and go with the onomatopoeia. How do you sound out the way you spell it? Yeah, that makes sense. But also, like sarcasm, we have no way to fully distinguish sarcasm in writing. And even in different places that you live, some sarcasm is done by using a tone that identifies you're being sarcastic. And where I live, the absurdness of what you say is the indication that it's sarcastic. It sounds literal, but because it is absurd, that means it's sarcastic. So even, there's so many nuances of how we use speech. And so trying to read ancient stuff and figure it out and translate it, it's just so fascinating how we can go, I don't know if I would go this way. Maybe it's that way. Okay. So sin is crouching. I want to go look at the word crouching. It's desire to dominate you, and you must subdue it. Okay. Oh, we're still... Well, we haven't got very far at all. Oh, your countenance fell, if thou dost well, and if thou dost well, sin lieth at the door. Okay, here it is. If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. Rabas, crouching. His desire, masal, to rule over. Okay. Rabas. Rabas.
Strong's H, 7257. Ravats.
So stretching out, So that's where the lying down idea is, to stretch out. So I could stretch out my hand, but I can also stretch out. So when I lie down, I am stretched out. So sin is there, lying there.
Strong's H8669.
Teshuka.
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 Desire, longing, craving. Beast. Okay, so of men, of women, of women, of men, of beast to devour. Oh, it's only used here, and then 4-7. What's 4-7? Oh, sorry. It was. Okay. So it was, the desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Here, we are playing back Genesis 3 with the relationship problem here. Interesting. Mashal.
Strong's H4910.
Wonder if this is also going to be a playback. Mashal.
Mashal.
Mashal, my bow. Oh, sorry. Anyone whose name is Michelle. To rule, to have dominion, to reign. Wonder if that's also there in. Yeah. So the is to rule over the day. So the first thing that is the ruler is light. Then he shall rule over you. I thought it was going to be so. So these words are echoing back to us from the curse that was given to Eve. So we have sin crouching at the door, its desire, like the desire that Eve is going to have, and the relationship between Eve and Adam are replayed here, but this time it's between sin that's at the door and its desire to be over you. Yeah. You were arguing with someone on Twitch the other day about metaphors in Jude. He was getting confused because he thought a phrase following each metaphor applied to the what linguists call the tenor of the metaphor, and I was arguing it applied to the vehicle of the metaphor. He didn't really understand, but in a complicated case like what you kind of got, busts out the linguistic vocabulary that explains the concept because language is complicated. Yeah. Well, and I am not a grammarian, okay? I struggle really, really bad with certain parts of speech. Some I can grasp fully. Others, like the nuance between them and the direction of them, sorry, I got an ad break coming in. Let's go to fishies, and then I'll come back to that.
Flat cap pastor rocks his tweed, streaming life by the reeds. Fish pond calm and glassy clear, view it all right from here. Dapper man with sax in hand, plays tunes by his quiet land. Acoustic guitar in the breeze serenades the fish with ease. Watch the fish, they swim along to the rhythm of his song. Flat cap pastor shows the way, stream it live come what may.
Nice view of Waiwas there.
With
Nice view of Waiwas.
shows it all. Little fish both big and small, life in ponds so serene, nature's beauty on a screen. See the ripples, watch the flow, hear the music, gentle glow. Flat cap's charm and calming tone makes the fish feel right at home. Watch the fish, they swim along.
All right, are we back from ads yet or not?
Flat cat pastor shows the way, stream it live come what may.
going to flip-flop these two so you can get a better look at why was there instead of him hiding. Don't know. I never got an ad. Okay. Well, it told me the ads were coming, and sometimes it gives me the countdown, and sometimes it does not. So I'm just going to come back, hope that we're there. So, yeah, you were like, dude, you know a metaphor. I know what a metaphor is. Yeah, I'm thinking you kind of do, but there are levels of specificity you're not thinking about here, and it's necessary when thinking about this particular example. Yeah, I don't know if they do this anymore in elementary school of sentence diagramming. I was usually pretty good at sentence diagramming, okay? I had to do it in Greek as well. I don't remember if we did it in Hebrew, but I know I did it in Greek because I did a lot of it. But then we would get into all of the different verb types. And, yeah, like, is it a subjective genitive or an objective genitive? Can't tell you. I can't tell you. I would play through, read through it, look at the definitions, read the definitions, and say, I think it's this. I'd put my answer down, wrong. Okay, so then I just came to believe I can't tell, but what I think, I am thinking the exact opposite. So I will process through if I think it's subjective or objective, and I'll write the opposite down because I always get it wrong. Well, then I started putting the opposite down, and I got the opposite wrong. So I was like, did I finally figure it out? And it still looked like I was doing it the same way to me. Like, so if something is subjective or objective, the answer to me is yes. It is one of those two. I have eliminated every other thing. I know it is none of the other ones, but I cannot tell you if it's subjective or objective genitive. I just know it's one of those two. So, there are points and times where my capacity for knowledge just, there's the cap. I bump up against the ceiling, and I know no more. And I also, I usually am not definitive because I'm not the expert in grammar. I'm not an expert in grammar. This is not where I spend my focus. So take all that I say and double check it. I don't know if I've said that often enough. Like, take everything I say and double check it with other people. If I'm the only one pointing out something that no one's ever seen or heard, I'm suspect of it on one level from the standpoint of why would throughout all time in history no one have seen the thing that I've seen? Am I seeing it correctly is usually what I want to ask. Now, if it doesn't make a difference from the standpoint of the whole of Scripture, and it's in line with that, but I'm just seeing a fine little nuance of something that to me adds delight, then I'm fine with that. Then I'm fine with saying, yeah, I think it's there. Then I think I'm fine saying it's there. And if it's not there, it doesn't make a difference. Those are the ones I'm okay with saying a little bit more definitively. But when we're arguing about or speculating, I should say, speculating about what is the multiply pain in childbirth, I don't know. All I know is it'd be nice if it wasn't. His judgment, if the judge is giving the judgment, the judge is the subject giving the judgment. It's the subjective genitive. If the defendant is receiving the judgment, it's the object of the concept. That's the objective genitive. And you can point that out, and I can say, yes, I agree, and I understand that. But then I would read some of these sentences in Greek, and I would end up with the wrong answer. So conceptually, I understand the difference between the subject and the object. But when I would have to identify it with these really complicated passages of Paul, I would get it mixed up. So, yes, I understand the subject and the object of the verb. Yes. But anyway, thanks for the help. Thanks for the help and the encouragement. I appreciate it. Okay. Back to our text. We're making such good progress today. Okay. So God comes with questions. I just love this. I love it. We overlook this, I think. When Adam and Eve sin in the garden, God comes with questions. When Cain has done less than receive approval for his offering, God comes to him. Okay? Now, we don't know what any instructions are given about offerings. I think we could read back into it that the people who are reading this are going to know and have known or are aware of the sacrifices that were established later on, but maybe not. And it doesn't seem necessary to know what they are. All we need to know is something about what Cain did was not approved, but it seems more like it's Cain that wasn't approved, which is why we don't get more specificity, because then we get caught up, which I think we do, on what did Cain do wrong. And I think it's his motivation. It's Cain that's in the wrong. Okay. Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let us go out to the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. The Masoretic text simply has, "And Cain said to Abel his brother," omitting Cain's words to Abel. So we're getting these from the LXX. Temple. It sort of takes an extra layer of abstraction because in genitive phrases, there won't even be an actual verb there. There's just a verb concept there, and you have to think about who'd be the subject and object of the verbal concept. And that's probably where I would get confused on it and read it the wrong way. But it totally makes a difference. If judgment was pronounced, just using that, is it towards the recipient or is it from the giver? Yeah. Anyway, here's a question, and I'm going to ask a question and then just see as Cain unfolds this. So we have this just given as matter of fact. Cain gives an invitation to his brother. They go out in the field. Abel is killed by his brother. Does Cain comprehend that he has the capacity to kill his brother? Does he know it is possible? Certainly there are animal deaths to this point. So there is the comprehension of death. But since no human has died, does Cain know and understand his attack is going to result in his brother's death? The word brother appears 6 times in 8 through 11, stressing the shocking nature of Cain's fratricide. I can be talking about the defendant and say his judgment, he's receiving a judgment. Yes, I can talk about the judge and saying his judgment, he's the one giving. That's the difference. I know. Yep. But and let me put it this way. I think I can see it easier in English than I can in the Greek. That's part of it is but anyway. The Lord said to Cain. So God came with questions the first time. Let's see, he comes with questions the second time. Where is your brother Abel? And he replied, man, I don't know. Am I my brother's guardian? Ooh, now they're using guardian, which we got finished reading through Ruth, and they were using the word guardian there instead of kinsman redeemer. What do we have here now? I don't know if there's something here. Is brother's keeper actually kinsman redeemer? Shama. Or is it Samar? Samar. Now I was thinking Shamar.
Strong's H 8104. Shamer.
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 To keep guard, to watch, to keep. So, I wonder if this is also a word used for keeper of the flock. I hadn't thought of that one. E'en to dress it and keep it. So that is the caretaker of the garden. And then it is to caretaker. The cherubims are caretakers of the way to the tree of life. And then here is my brother's keeper. Okay, so it's not keeper of the flock. I don't know if we're going to get kinsman redeemer until we get into keep the service, therefore keep the ordinance. Okay, so you are observing the ordinance, you are holding it within, you are over it, keeping the commandments, keeping the covenant, heeding, keeping, okay. Keeping the Sabbath, observing, heeding to it, keeping it. Okay, I don't see kinsman redeemer here. Okay, because it was using the word guardian. That made my mind go that way because that's what they were using. Instead of kinsman redeemer in Ruth, they were using guardian. It sounds like you're following the line of these racist denominations making Cain a black man from the 70s movie. I have no intention of doing that. So, sorry if anything I said implied that. No. Oh, but just when I said, man, okay, I see that. I was just wasn't meaning it in that way. I was just meaning it in the whiny brother voice. I was meaning it in the whiny brother voice. So that was all my point was. Okay. But the Lord said, what have you done? So God invites Cain into a conversation. Cain denies and rebuffs the conversation. So God then points out directly to him that he knows. Whiny brother, you say. Yes. Not from experience or nothing, but, you know. What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying out from the ground. Ooh, I think this is the mouth. Oh, the word voice is a personification, the evidence of Abel's shed blood. Okay, so it is voice. I was thinking it might have been mouth. Crying out from the ground. So he was made from the ground, and to ground he has been returned. So this is now giving us more information that appears either that Cain has covered up what he has done, or simply the ground has received the blood of his brother because it went into the ground, and from the ground it is crying out. So either way, I think we can see differences there. So now you are banished from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from its sins. Yeah, see, there is mouth here. I got to go look. I got to go look. This is a word play. I know what's going on. Either the mouth and the voice are playing off each other here in 10 and 11. The mouth to receive your brother's blood. Oh, did I miss the voice in the previous one? Voice. Okay, what is voice? Here. The voice. Coal. Okay. So it is not. It is still a metaphorical play of the voice is crying out, the mouth that received it, the voice calling. There's a connection there. Not a direct using the same word, but using the same. The voice is calling out, the mouth that received. When you try to cultivate the ground, it will no longer yield its best for you. You will be a homeless wanderer on the earth. It will not again give its best, its strength. Ooh, its strength. Well, if the ground is giving its strength to you, you are gaining strength from the ground, and that is not going to be. You will be a wanderer and a fugitive. Homeless, wanderer, fugitive. The juxtaposition of the synonyms emphasize the single idea. The translation one can serve the main description. A ceaseless wanderer, a wandering fugitive. So you have a wanderer and a fugitive, and they're put together. How do you express that as one idea? Then Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is too great to endure. Great is my punishment for bearing. The presupposition is used here in a comparative sense. Like, this is more than fits the crime, is what Cain is complaining. Look, you are driving me off the land today, and I must hide from your presence. So, I need to hide from your presence as my parents did when they sinned. You're driving me out of the land. Presumably, they may have been close to Eden, not far away from where the garden was, and the guardian was there. If they were not close, would the guardian need to be there? Now Cain is going to be driven further and further away. He can't even see. He will no longer see the garden, which would be the dwelling place of God on earth. You're driving me off the land today, and I must hide from your presence. I will be a homeless wanderer on the earth. Whoever finds me will kill me. So look at how he has multiplied in his mind what the curse is, what his penalty is. The same way that we get the adding to if you touch it kind of an idea. Well, now I'm going to be killed by whoever finds me. Well, who is the whoever that can find you? Mom and dad. Now, maybe there's other humans, and that depends on how you see all of what's going on here. But at this point, the only other named humans are Adam and Eve. So whoever finds me will kill me. But the Lord said to him, all righty then. What do we have here in the text? Therefore, in this context carries the, okay, in that case, then I will do this. If, if anyone kills Cain, Cain will be avenged 7 times as much. So 7 being the number of totality of completeness. Cain will have complete vengeance. If someone takes vengeance on you, then vengeance will be taken on them. The Lord put a special mark on Cain so that no one who found him would strike him down. So Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. So Nod, what do we have? Nod means wandering. So he lives in the land of wandering. Is it an actual place, or is it just he is wandering? He lives in the land of wandering. I would rather translate it that way than just Nod. Okay, let's see what it says for Mark. A sign, reminder, the term sign is not used in the translation because it might imply in the English reader that God hung a sign on Cain, like a billboard. The text does not indicate what the sign was. It must have taken some outward visual reminder of Cain's special status. Okay, and as you were alluding to, Temple Snail, this has been, by racists, taken to mean that Cain was of dark skin. Problem being with that explanation is that if you also, which they usually do, subscribe to a global flood, how could there be descendants of Cain that come after the global flood? Now, if you take a regional flood, then it's not a problem, but it's a special mark that says it's only on Cain. Why would that special mark be passed down to his descendants? There's nothing in here that says it is going to be passed on to his descendants. What I haven't heard anyone argue, and I'm just throwing a weird idea out there, what if it was baldness? What if that was the mark of Cain, that it was he became bald so that everyone knew he had no hair? What if it was he could not grow facial hair, and that was the mark of Cain? Like, I could come up with all kinds of things. What if it was he had red hair? What if, I mean, like, we could just speculate all day. We don't know what it was. It does not tell us what it was. I also don't think it should have been considered a genetic trait passed down. Altus Rebbe, welcome in. Shalomi, my homies. Cain was intimate with his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was building a city, And he named the city after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Arad, and Arad was the father of Mahajuel. Mahajuel was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. So we suddenly get past Cain, and now we get for our first look at a genealogy. So, so Enoch, what does Enoch mean? Well, what verse are we in? That helps. 17. Enoch.
Strong's H2585.
Hanoch.
Chanoch.
Okay. Why is he named dedicated? Why does Cain name his son dedicated? That's an interesting name to choose to name your son. You have been cast out. You are a wanderer. That's what you are called to do. What do you do instead? You build a city. Thought you're supposed to be a wanderer. You're supposed to wander, and now you're building a city. You were worried that if people found you, you were going to be killed as a wanderer. Now you're building a city. Couldn't people find you all the time? I just, we don't know. But dedicated, does he feel blessed at this point? And he's dedicating his son to God? I think that's going too far to think that. But he dedicates the city to his son. Maybe therein lies the city is named for his son. He dedicates the city to his son. Therefore, the name of his son means dedicated. I think there's more of a following of that. I'm not going to look up all the other names. The big question everyone asks is, where did Cain get his wife? Well, some of that depends on whether Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, you see it as two separate creations, or not. Or if you just make the assumption that, well, Adam and Eve certainly probably had other children, other descendants, and that's where his wife comes from, and we're just not told about them. I'm frankly not too concerned with Cain's wife, but yes, he was cursed to be a vagrant and a wanderer, but then he only becomes a wanderer, but the vagrant curse is removed, possibly due to his repentance. Yeah, that's what I was wondering on some level, because it's after the birth of his son that Cain builds a city. It's after the birth of his son. So does having a son change Cain in some way? We don't get a change of heart here, necessarily. That it states and tells us. It could be there, but we aren't told. Okay, so then we make our way on to Lamech. Let's go look up Lamech's name before we go further. 19. Lamech.
Strong's H3929. Lemech.
Powerful. Itty bitty living space. Similarly, Hezekiah was cursed to die, but then he was given additional years of life due to repentance. Was Hezekiah cursed? I've never read it that Hezekiah was cursed. And I've not read it as repentance. I mean, it's a pleading with God, but what does he repent of? He says, I've served you. So I don't know if I see it that way, Altus, but I see the connection between them, but I'm not sure I see Hezekiah as cursed in there and or repentant. Back from breakfast, best meal of the day. Okay. Lamech took 2 wives for himself. The name of the first was Ada, and the name of the second was Zillah. Okay, what do those names mean? So he's multiplying wives. Ada.
Strong's H 5711.
Hybrid, welcome in.
Ada.
Ornament, and
Strong's
shade.
H 6741.
Scylla.
Scylla.
I need to remember that Scylla means shade. That, because, you know, I know a few people, probably their names are Priscilla, but they go by Scylla. So their name means shade. It said he had pride in his heart. Let me see if I can find. Okay. I didn't remember that, but that's. Thank you. If that is the case, that's a nuance I did not catch. Whoever thought multiple lives was a good idea, boy, were they wrong. Well, it seems okay for Lamech. It doesn't seem like it causes him problems. Or maybe what he does is because of the problems. Okay. Ada gave birth to Jabal. He was the first of those who lived in tents and kept livestock. So apparently, Abel did not live in tents and keep livestock. Or maybe this is moving livestock is going to be cattle versus being a shepherd. And shepherds don't always live in tents. They usually wander and live on, or seemingly sleep under the stars, it seems, a little bit more than living in a tent. The name of his brother was Jabal. He was the first of those who played the harp and the flute. Now Zillah also gave birth to Tubal-Cain, who heated metal and shaped all kinds of tools made with bronze and iron. The sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Okay, we suddenly have another woman mentioned. Okay, Tubal-Cain and Naamah. You know the drill. We look up women's names. Why are women mentioned? What is it about them? She's just mentioned as a sister. She doesn't create anything like all the brothers do.
5279.
Loveliness.
Naamah.
Johnny, I might be biased coming up on my 10-year anniversary. Oh, yes, and I am not advocating for it. I'm just saying that in the first person to take two wives, it does not give us any judgment about it in context there. Let's go ahead and look up what Tubal-Cain means. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Oh, okay. You're reading the Chronicles version. My brain was going to the King's version. That might be why I'm not seeing it. However, Hezekiah humbled the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of Yahweh did not come on them in the days of Hezekiah. Okay. I was thinking of the story in Kings, but in Chronicles it does talk about it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Love having new stuff pointed out. Love having new stuff. It's a day for dancing. Oh, I did do loveliness. Sorry. I went back to it. Got distracted. Okay. Lamech said to his two wives, Ada and Zillah, listen to me. The wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for hurting me. Okay. If Cain be avenged 7 times, as much then Lamech 77 times. Okay, let's start with this. A young man probably refers to a youthful warrior here, not a child. So, killed a man for wounding me, a young man for hurting me. So, this sounds like he was attacked and he retaliated. So, does it sound like how do we read this? I killed a man for wounding me. What kind of wound was it? And then we have hurting me. So this is only hurting. Not even like, I didn't get a scratch off it. Okay, the 77 times Lamech seems to reason this. If Cain is a murderer, is to be avenged 7 times, then how much more one who has been unjustly wronged? Lamech missed the point of God's merciful treatment of Cain. God was not establishing a principle of justice when he warned he would avenge Cain's murderer. In fact, he was trying to limit the shedding of blood. Sometimes Lamech wants to multiply instead. The use of 77, a multiple of 7, is hyperbolic, emphasizing the extreme severity of the invasion of Lamech. Is there a Bible translation that you prefer? Just curious. Oh, yeah, the Hebrew primarily. What about English? Oh, the JPS for Tanakh and the HCSB for the Gospels. Let me go see. Do I have those versions over here? Yeah, I don't see the JPS here or the oh, there we do. Do have the HCSB, the Holman Christian Standard Bible. Stone Edition Tanakh is really good. Stone Edition. Do I have that one? No. Yeah, I knew there was a Jewish one in here. There's the OJB. Okay. So Lamech sees something. He feels he is injured, but he retaliates with murder. It's really, I think, because you only are hurt and you're only wounded. Were these in battle? How did these happen? But he takes vengeance, and then he wants vengeance if anyone would take vengeance on him for killing. Clearly, he sees himself as being wronged and retaliating in some way, and now he's making that claim. So we go, and Cain leaves, and Cain, we follow his story through some descendants, and then we leave, and we do not continue with that line, and we jump back to Adam. And Adam was intimate with his wife again. She gave birth to a son. See, that's one of the things that we don't see, Temple Snail, is we see one intimacy of Adam and Eve and birth of Cain and then birth of Abel. We don't get Adam was intimate again before Abel was born. There's one possibility that they could be twins. Whether or not it's the multiplication of pain in childbirth or not, there's still the possibility that they may have been twins. Here, we're repeating the intimacy again. And she gave birth to a son. She named him Seth, saying, God has given me another child in place of Abel because Cain killed him. And a son was also born to Seth, whom he named Enosh. At that time, people began to worship the Lord. It's a weird phrase. So, when Seth is born or when Enosh is born? The word people is not, at that time, but it's supplied in the translation. To call was begun, can be interpreted to mean, people began to call on the name of the Lord. Johnny, looking at the chart for word to word, for thought to thought, HCSB looks right around where the KJV lies. Okay. Seth. Do you want to go look up what's... Oh, Enosh. Seth and Enosh. So immediately we just go from Seth to Enosh. So Seth is the replacement of Abel. Cain has wandered away. There is no replacement for Cain. There is just Seth. So one replaces the two.
Strong's H8352. Shaith.
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 Compensation. Hi, I'd like to introduce to you everybody to my son Compensation. I lost a child and I've got compensation.
Strong's H583. Enosh.
Enosh
Enosh.
means man. Oh. Okay. Interesting. I didn't remember that. Did not remember that. Okay. I do have a hard out at 10 today. I have other things on my plate to get to today, but we'll keep going for a little bit here. Altus, there is a positive and a negative connotation to call on the name. It can mean they started to abuse it, possibly assigning it to other things, idolatry, and insulting it. The position is to pray or make a blessing. Ooh, okay. Now I want to go look at the Hebrew there. To call on the name of the Lord. Okay, kara. Kara. To cry out, to utter, to proclaim, to read aloud, to summon, to invite, to call oneself, to be called. Commission, appoint, endow. Okay. Infinitive construct. Okay. Although yours says started to worship God, but it should be understood in a negative sense. People like Abel were already worshiping God before Enoch. Yeah, that's one of the things that it always seemed weird to me at that point. That you have Adam and Eve who were in relationship with God. So they weren't worshiping God before the fall. And you have Cain and Abel. Abel seems to. Then Seth is born. We know nothing about him, but he's the replacement for. And wouldn't Adam and Eve have taught their children in some way? Because both Cain and Abel knew the time when they should be giving sacrifices. So I don't think I've heard the negative understanding, but I think I like that idea. This is Strong's Concordance, so it doesn't give me that negative in there. But I do know often, it's the infinitive form. I don't know enough about the infinitive forms, but I know sometimes, I can't remember if it's a PL or the PUL form, will be the opposite. The PL or the PUL will be the opposite of something. So you can take the word and you flip the form, and then it means the opposite of it. So I could totally see where calling on the name of the Lord could be calling out against the name of the Lord. Or here, if I'm calling on his name, I am now trying to get God to do my will. I'm trying to do divination of some kind. Could be perhaps that. Now they're translating it as worship instead of call on. Okay, this is the record of the family line of Adam. Okay, what do we have here? Sorry, I believe there's something in the generations of Adam. That this is the section. This is how they mark off some of the sections in the book. The Sephar Toledot. Because I believe this is how creation starts too. The Toledot. Am I right, Altus? You probably know. 2-4. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's the... Yes, 2-4 is where it is. I was thinking it was Genesis 1. It's not. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created. So, Genesis 1 is a different setup than Genesis or than creation in Genesis 2. So these are the generations of the heavens and earth. That's how we get the book of the genealogy of Adam and Eve. Oh, this is a great. It's how Matthew starts too. Yes. So these are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created. So this is the generations of creation. These are the generations of Adam. These are the generations of Noah. These are the generations of the sons of Noah. These are the generations of Shem. These are the generations of Terah. These are the generations of Ishmael. So these are the marking off of sections. Amazon has the Stone Edition. It has the Torah, Prophets, and Writing. Is that what you recommend? I have not done that. Interesting, though. Okay, so we have the. So I just wanted to point out that the record of the family line of Adam is also the way that Genesis 2 starts with creation, the genealogical record of creation, which is a totally different way of thinking about it. When God created humankind, he was made in the likeness of God. So we're returning back to Genesis 2 on some level. There's a reflection here. He created them male and female. When they were created, he blessed them and named them humankind. Named them Adam. Which is grammatically incorrect. The Bereshit means with, for the sake of Reset. Rashit. Sorry, this is for the sake of Rashit. Bereshit. Where are you at, Altus? I lost where you were talking about. Should be by Art School. I was over here with Toledot. Just explaining Bereshit in the start of Genesis rather than Toledot. Oh, okay. You're... Okay, I see how we are. Okay. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, according to his image, and he named him Seth. So now we're finally getting some age of Cain and Abel to Seth. So if Cain and Abel grow up and they are tending flocks and growing crop of the ground, and then they go out to the field together. I don't know how old Adam is when he has them as children, but they grow up, and then they die and are cast out before Seth comes along. Such pretty salt and pepper locks. Okay. Okay. So 130 years he fathered his own likeness according to his image, and he named him Seth. The length of time Adam lived after he became the father of Seth was 800 years. During the time, he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Adam was 930 years. Then he died. So here's how we don't get the names of anyone else of the descendants. He has other sons and daughters. Altus. Oh, I heard another theory on the pain of childbirth, which is that Eve was destined to not just bear children, but also experience their deaths. Oh, okay. Death of a child is a double pain of childbirth. Okay. Yeah, we had a good discussion about that. I think I've heard that one before too. I didn't remember to bring it up, but there's another possibility of all of the multiplication of pain. Okay. So when people are trying to figure out the age that the Bible says the earth is, they start pulling out these numbers and they start taking these numbers to be literal ages of people. I'm not saying they can't be, but if we look at ancient writings of other people other than those in Scripture, they use large numbers. And when we get further down, there is almost a straight comparison with another document of all the long ages that lead up to the flood and the number of people in that genealogy and the number of people in the other, and the numbers correspond. So numbers often were symbolic of the person as well, and or they added up to other things. So we don't have to take these literal. These numbers could be symbolic. Do we need to know what they mean? Well, they may have lost their meaning to us, but they may have had meaning to those who were there getting this originally. They may have known the other stories that are being retold. Okay. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. Seth lived 807 years after he became the father of Enosh, and he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Seth was 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Canaan. Enosh lived 815 years after he became the father of Canaan, and he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Enosh was 905 years, and then he died. When Canaan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. Canaan lived 840 years after he became the father of Mahalalel. That sounds like it's a name of a Hawaiian, Mahalalel. And he had other sons and daughters, and the entire lifetime of Kenan was 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. Mahalalel lived 830 years after he became the father of Jared, and he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Mahalalel was 895 years, and then he died. Sorry, let me get caught up. My inner Fabio fangirl. They're having a serious conversation you're talking about here, yes. You can't pronounce Mahalalel until you have a cup of coffee. All right, timer's up. Did you see the new emote I'm watching? You didn't even use the new emotes. Who knows? Let's talk about the rabbit holes and then return. Yes. When Jared lived 162 years, he founded a jewelry store. Oh, sorry. He became the father of Enoch. Jared lived 800 years until he became the father of Enoch. He had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Jared was 962 years, and then he died. Ah, okay. Gotcha. I can change that. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. After he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God for 300 years, and he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Enoch was 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and then he disappeared because God took him away. Okay. We are in 24. Is that where we are? Enoch. Oops, wrong one. And Methuselah. Methuselah? Enoch.
Strong's H2585. Henoch.
Okay, so
Henoch.
Methuselah.
Strong's H4968. Methuselah.
Man of the
Methuselah.
Dart. Man of the Dart. That's an interesting name. Okay. Okay. So this is a whole what in the world. So if you're wondering why the book of Enoch gets connected because he disappears and he does not say he died. He says God took him. Similar to Elijah's departure. So we've got two people that do not die, do not see death. I'm not going to dive into that. We could. When Methuselah lived 178 years, he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived, so we have Enoch and Lamech, or sorry. Yeah. And a flip back to them. So there's probably very much a chiasm going on in here. He became the son of Lamech. Methuselah. Oh, sorry, did that. Lamech had lived 182 years, and he had a son. He named him Noah. Noah appears to be related to the Hebrew word to rest. There are several word plays on the name Noah in the flood story. Yep, we will get to that next week. Saying, this is the one who brings comfort from the labor and from the painful toil of the hands because of the ground that the Lord cursed. The Hebrew is from the root that means to comfort, the Peel verb stem. The letters nun and hate pick up the sound of the name Noah, forming a I cannot say this word. Paranomasia. Paranomasia? I don't know. I can't get that one. We've had it a couple times. They are not the same verbal root, and so the connection is only in sound. Lamech's sentiment reflects the oppression of living under the curse of the ground, but also expresses the hope for relief some way through the birth of Noah. His words provide to be ironic but prophetic. The relief would come from a new beginning after the flood. Okay. Altus was telling me of another possibility, that maybe he's the inventor of the plow. So he brings relief and comfort from the toil and pain because he creates the plow. Doesn't say that, but, you know. How would he have brought comfort from their pain and toil, the hands of the ground that God had cursed? Lamech lived 595 years after he became the father of Noah, and he had other sons and daughters. The entire lifetime of Lamech was 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So interesting, these other individuals go to a point of life, and then they have one child, and then they have other sons and daughters. We get to Noah, and we have 3 that are named. The other thing, like I was saying, is there is a whole listing of ancient kings that have very, very similar numbers to all of these numbers that are listed here in ancient documents. So I think these are paralleling. I think the numbers are symbolic. I don't think that we're looking at someone to wait until they're 500 years old to actually be the father of kids. That seems rather unlikely. Unless Noah's wife is barren, for him to go 500 years before he has children. So I think there's symbolism in here. What do those symbols mean? I do not know. All right. We'll get into Noah next time. I'm not going to do that today. So we got through 4 and 5. 4 and 5. Okay. And I do not have. No one has given me a psalm or a proverb for tomorrow. So someone will need to do that, or I will need to pick one before we get there. So, all right. Just a reminder over here, Streamiversary is going to be on Friday, and we'll be continuing to go. Let me do this. Ark Book of Riddles. We'll be reading in there. You can quick read the back. I'm not going to read them. I will let you get a few clips of what might be in there. A few guesses there. Psalm 1. All right. I'll write it down. Good place to go. See, why is it that, okay. Keep thinking I've done this, but then I go type it and it's not there. Psalm 1, because that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Psalm 100 would also be a good choice. You know what? I'll just put that in there. See, I just changed them all to yellow, and then it goes in there as white. I don't understand. We got ads starting in 20 seconds. I can't snooze them, so we'll go to fish, and when we come back, we'll be rating out.
Flat cap Pastor Ox's tweet.
Proverbs 26. Okay.
Streaming life by the reeds. Fish pond calm and glassy clear. View it all right from here.
Ah, thanks. Thanks for putting it in the Discord.
Man with sax in hand plays tunes by his quiet land. Acoustic guitar in the breeze serenades the fish with ease. Watch the fish, they swim along to the rhythm of
Oh, yeah, I understand it's short. Well, we did Psalm 119, and also on Wednesdays, I'm only streaming for an hour on Wednesdays, so that's another reason why a short psalm is probably fine. I think 100 is only about the same length.
Fish both big and small. Life in ponds so serene, nature's beauty on a screen. See the ripples, watch the flow, hear the music, gentle glow. Flat cap's charm and calming tone makes the fish feel right at home. Watch the fish, they swim along to the rhythm of his song. Flat cat pastor shows the way, stream it live, come what may. Refuse Cammy shows it all. Little fish, both big and small. Life in ponds so serene, nature's beauty on a screen.
All right, we're just about back from the ad break.
See the ripples, watch the flow.
All right, so we're back. We back. Okay, so yeah, Wednesdays, Psalms, they're short, are fine because I'm only here for an hour, so we don't have time to go into too much depth. Thursdays, we're looking at our life and walk of faith, and so transformation and ways to do spiritual practices, spiritual disciplines, those things, and Friday favorites. But Friday will be Streamiversary. And, oh, by the way, I'm doing something with this here, this blank canvas. We'll be doing something on Friday with that blank canvas for all of you who are here. We'll be doing something there. So, not gonna give that away. And we've got the book, and we've got stickers to give away. Won't be as cool as you know, everything that is going on over with Aki with 5-year streamiversary stuff or affiliate anniversary. I'm not sure which one it is. He was on the front page of Twitch, so that's pretty cool. I'm trying to find Aki. Should still be streaming. There it is. So yesterday at one point there was at least 2,300 viewers when he was on the front page, or they were on the front page now. It is around 100, which is great. Yeah, you're just talking about we often point that out when we get to, or we read through the Psalms and other places. It will have a footnote that says that it's not the Psalms. Well, sometimes it's the Psalms because the English won't put a Psalm of David as a verse, and the Hebrew might. But yeah, some places the chapter breaks are different in the Hebrew than they are in the English. All right. So let's start the raid, and let's go and bless others. May God, I'm trying to figure this because I'm blocking him. May God seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you, everyone who was here, spending time in God's Word. Good conversation, talking about Adam, Eve, and all of that, and what's going on in your life. Mr. Hanhito. Welcome in, Mr. Hanhito. Mr. Han, welcome in. Yeah, just coming at the end, but we're going to go raid out to Aki and fam, who is celebrating 5 years. There we go. Get that in there so I can copy, and paste. Hey, Demaro! Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. We're just on the way out. So if you were working or lurking, appreciate you, friend. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day. We will see you all later.
Flat cap on his head, he's streaming live. Reading from the book, the word's so alive. A prayer in his heart that lifts the soul.